Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In the Yard Podcast with your hosts, Collin and Braeden Cox, as we record here on Wednesday, August 28th. And NFL football season is right around the corner. It felt like the season kind of ended not too long ago, when the Chiefs beat the 49ers for the Super Bowl. But here we are. I think, baseball season is a nice little, Braden and I love baseball season just as much as we love football season. So it's a little like nice little getaway to get back in the football season. Next thing you know, football season's right here as we're in the swing of baseball season. So yeah, I think we're both excited for the NFL season to start. And I just think we're gonna give our little predictions here on In the Yard, like who we think is gonna make the playoffs, who we think are pretenders, who we think are true contenders, and everything in between. But yeah, Brandon, I think you're pretty excited for the season. NFL season kind of came quick, seemed like.
Yeah. Yeah. It like you said, it doesn't feel like that the Super Bowl was what, almost 8 months ago at this point, and that we're already talking about, college football week one is this week, and then a week from tomorrow night is opening kickoff where you got Ravens Chiefs, which is going to be a fantastic game, of course. I mean, I think everybody's going to be tuned into that. So yeah, it's going to be hopefully a very good season, particularly for both of our, respective teams that we root for. You know, they both, you feel like they're both good, maybe even great teams. So we'll definitely see. It's going to be a good football season, and I'm excited it's back.
Yeah, like I said, I think baseball season just went by so fast. Definitely just making life overall just seem like it's going fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I think I don't know for you, Brandon. I just feel like summer was like kind of just like I had something every weekend and then it just flying by. So yeah, we're
Bro,
in the fall now.
the tailgate was a month ago.
Yeah, 1 month to go tomorrow. I feel like that
Yeah.
was like a couple weeks ago. I don't feel like it was a whole month ago. And then
Yeah.
even that came up fast. You're kind of looking forward to it all summer. And then next thing you
Yeah.
know, it was the day of, and next thing you know, it was all done.
Yeah.
So yeah, good summer. But
Yeah, for
fall,
sure.
Labor Day's coming up, and that means fall is almost here, and that means football season's here. So,
Yep.
Brandon, yeah, let's get into it. I know you said you kind of want to start things off with the AFC side of things.
Yeah. I think we start in the AFC, and I said before we started recording here, I think we go 1 through 7. I think that's the best way to do this. Who we have as the 1 seed, right? And we can talk about divisions kind of as we go along. It might get a little bit jumbled up. But I know this first team, right, I would hope you think is going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. I think we're going to be on the same page here. I'm gonna go with a little wild card here and go with the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know what you're thinking here for the 1 seed in the AFC.
Yeah, I'm going with the Chiefs too. I mean, every year they're kind of like to start the season, and then next thing you know, they're playing for a 1 seed, beating up the
Yeah,
good teams and then making a run to the Super Bowl. It's kind of just at this point just can't count them out as much as I hate to say it, but they're the best team in the league, and I feel like they've established their dominance. 3 Super Bowls and 4 seasons now. I think it is five
yeah,
seasons. So
yeah,
yeah, I just think it's going to be Chiefs at one. Even they might have a slow start like they always do, but they'll turn it around.
yeah. And I'll throw a little quick prediction out there. I don't think that they have a slow start. I think that they're going to just be good all year,
That's right.
right? Because I think that this is largely the exact same team as last year, but better. Like
Yeah,
what their wide receiver room is definitely better than it was last
yeah,
year. They just signed Juju. And then Worthy, I think is his name. He's like the fastest guy in the NFL, besides Tyreek Hill at this point. So I don't know. I feel like they're gonna be insanely good, and I feel like they have to be like the heavy favorites, particularly in the AFC. Um, and then I don't know about you, but that's the only team that I have going to the playoffs in the AFC West. Uh, I'm just not really buying any of the other teams what they're selling me, right? And I don't want to jump the gun here, but I have the Chargers finishing last, right? I know that might be a hot
in
take.
the league.
No, last in the AFC West.
Okay,
Excuse me.
very good.
Um, I would say like 6, maybe 7 wins. Like I don't know. Like I don't want to like discredit them because I still think Herbert's a dog. They lost so much. Like, and I know they brought Harbaugh in, but
Yeah.
they lost Keenan Allen. Like they lost a lot of dudes. Um, and it just, I don't know. I feel like the
It's
vibes are
never
high there, but I feel like it's going to come crashing down. And Vegas doesn't really do anything for me either. Um, and Denver, I think Denver's going to be the second best team in this division, but I don't think it's going to be particularly close. So I don't think there's really much to
yeah.
talk about here. I'm going
And
to
I
have the
agree.
Chiefs winning it.
I agree. I think you hit the nail on the head with the AFC West. I'm not really buying into those teams. Like you said, Harbaugh might take a little few seasons for him to get used to like the NFL level. And then the Broncos and Vegas, I'm just not really buying them.
Yeah, and I think that the Broncos are definitely an interesting conversation because I think they have a good roster, but they got a rookie quarterback. And I'm not saying Bo Nix can't be good for
Yeah.
them or even better than good. It's just like I can't I can't buy that. Like I can't be like, oh, like the Broncos are like a lock for a playoff spot. Like you got a rookie quarterback. It can happen, but I just don't think the odds are in their favor. In Vegas, I think it's kind of sleepy good, right? You still got Devontae Adams, but like Minshew and Aiden O'Connell is your QB room, right? And not to discredit those guys, but like you're not better than the Chiefs, right?
No.
That's just the way I look at it. So yeah, I'm gonna have the Chiefs getting the 1 seed. Give me your 2 seed real quick. Who you got as
My
2? Because this is
two
where
seed
all of a sudden it gets really interesting.
might be a little bit of a hot take. Got high expectations for him. It's
Yeah.
going to be the Houston Texans, Braden. I think,
Okay.
CJ Stroud really proved himself last year in his rookie year. I think, they're going to have really high expectations. There is a lot of pressure on him now.
Yeah.
I think they made the playoffs and then who they beat in the first round was
Cleveland.
like the Browns. So
Joe
they beat the
Flacco.
Browns in the first round. I think they lost to the Ravens in the second round though,
Yep. That's right.
if I recall correctly. But
Yep.
yeah, I think the high expectations for the Texans. I think CJ Stroud's going to be fun to watch. I think he's going to be um, going to be the face of the franchise for a long time now, especially after last season. I can't
Yeah.
really see them having like a sophomore slump kind of thing. I just can't see it happen. So yeah, I'm going to roll with the Texans at 2.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I'm also rolling with the Texans at 2.
We're
And I'm
going to
not
have the
just saying
same
that because you
list.
said it. Like that's literally what I've written down here for basically the exact same reasons that you said. Um, I thought that they were good last year. I thought that they got uh, Stephon Diggs, regardless of what you think about him, like he's still a good receiver. But the thing that I like about Houston, really like the move for me this offseason
Joe Mixon.
was was Joe Mixon. Is I really think that's a game changer for them. And their like they've got Tank Dell too. Like they're deep offensively. And I think they still have Dalton Schultz. So like this is a team that like that to me that's a scary team. Now, the one caveat to all this, right, is like the sophomore slump or like can there's the pressure on them. Like, will they crumble under the pressure? I think it's more likely they don't crumble than they do crumble, if that
Right.
makes sense.
No,
Right. I
I
can't
agree.
see this team regressing that much. Right. I also really can't see a world where they miss the playoffs. Right. So I'm just
Yeah.
gonna put them at 2. I think that's fair. Um,
They do have a solid division though, Brandon. Does that concern you at all? Having to play the Jaguars, Titans, and Colts twice.
yeah, I mean, I think they've got a pretty tough schedule this year. Granted, that's because they won the division last year. So like by
Mm-hmm.
default, like you're gonna be playing more 1 seeds from last year. Um, it's concerning, right? But like it wouldn't be any more uh like scary for like a team like the Ravens or the Chiefs, right? Because your strength of schedule is just tougher. It doesn't really it doesn't worry me too much, right? You're gonna get 2 dates against the Titans. I think you win both those. You get 2 dates against the Colts. At the minimum, you're splitting that. So I don't know. I would say Texans like around 12 wins. Is where I would put them. I would say like 10. Anything less than 10 would be like a bad. See, I don't remember exactly what they had last year, but yeah, I have the Texans at 2. Give me what you got at 3, real quick.
There might be a little boring take, but I'm going with the Ravens though. I just feel like they haven't taken a step back at all. They started Lamar, who's MVP caliber QB, right? Like their defense is always going to be good, and I think they're gonna come out with a little chip on their shoulder after losing the Chiefs last year. I think,
Yeah.
tough division with the AFC North, but I just think I know just for the next 5 years, the Ravens are always going to be right there, in my opinion. So I'm going Ravens at 3.
Yeah, they've always kind of been there since
Right.
they've had Lamar anyway. I mean, even before that, they were good. It's funny. I also have the Ravens at 3. Maybe it would be really funny if we had, for the most part,
Yeah.
basically the
For
same
our
exact
listeners,
list. But yeah,
we did not plan these lists. We
yeah.
did these on our own.
The one thing about the Ravens, right, that does worry me, right, is there were some personnel changes, right? And they did lose Patrick Quinn. Patrick Quinn's now on the Steelers. So I think that the team does look a little bit different, but I think having Lamar and the addition of Derrick Henry, I know a lot of people are saying the most overrated like trade or transaction of the offseason was Derrick Henry to the Ravens. I disagree. Yeah, he might be like getting older, but I still think he's got it in him. I think he's just that guy. I
Yeah.
just can't see it.
Definitely
Again,
scary.
this is
Definitely scary.
definitely scary. Again, this is similar to the Texans. Is I can't see a world where the Ravens miss the playoffs. I can't. Right, talent wise, top to bottom, I think they're just. I think that they're like a lock playoff team. Granted, if even someone like Lamar Jackson were to go get hurt, or even if they have a slow start, like we might be having a different conversation because the AFC North is a dogfight, and it's going to be a dogfight. So I think it could go a couple different ways, but I'm going to put the Ravens as 3 as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Give me your 4.
For Brain, I think this team took a little bit of a step back this year. Not
Okay.
too much of a step back though. I think similar to the Ravens, similar to Chiefs, they're always going to be right
I think
there
I know where
because
you're going with this.
they have a great QB. They have a great QB. His name is what's his name? Andy Dwyer. Andy Dwyer, aka Josh Allen, right?
There you go.
He's good enough to carry you to at least the postseason.
Yep.
Oh shoot, my AirPods are gonna die. But you can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, but he's definitely a good enough QB. Has a talent to carry to the postseason, right? And the division's not great. You got the Dolphins, you got the Patriots, you got the Jets. I'm not really super high on any of those teams. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm going with the Bills at the 4 seed here, and kind of just rolling with them for 4. So
We're 4 for 4 because I also have Buffalo winning their division, being the 4th seed. Crazy enough for basically the exact same reasons you listed. Do I think that they're going to make it to the Super Bowl? Probably not, right? Because I feel like they totally took a step back. But I feel like the fact they have Josh Allen, right, is enough to get you minimum 10 games a year and into the playoffs. That alone, I think, gets you to the playoffs. Does it get you far into the playoffs? I think you need more pieces. You know, I don't know if they necessarily have like a QB1 because now that Diggs is gone, but he wasn't even really the QB1. You got Kincaid and you got shoot, I'm blanking on the other kid's name. But regardless, right? I think that they're good enough to get to the playoffs for sure.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree. Braden, sorry, I want to pitch this to you because my one AirPod died,
Yeah,
and I don't know when this other my one is still alive, so I don't know how long it's gonna last. So you just want to do the AFC for this episode, and we'll do NFC another time.
sure. We can run
Yeah.
it, and then we'll go
Okay.
through the divisions. Sure.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. So we're
So
4 for
give me
4
your
though.
yeah. Give me your 5. Um, and
I
then
think
if we got the exact same here, that'd be shocking. But
I think we're this is where we go our separate ways a little bit, Braden. I think I don't know. I don't love I feel like besides those top 4 teams that we already listed, a little mediocre, a lot of questions for these next 2 teams here. But I'm going with the Dolphins at 5. I know
okay.
they don't really show out. They always have a great start to the season, right? And they kind of fall off toward the end, kind of in their theme. But I think this year might be a little different. I think, McDaniels has a little bit more experience. I don't think he's going to be as cute with, his like offensive play calling. I think Tua, it's kind of, I think Tua was your guy for that team, right? And you still got Tyreek Hill. I think they upgraded their defense a little bit too as well. So yeah, and just aside from the fact, I think it also helps the fact that, aside from the top 4 teams that we listed, like I said, there's a lot of averageness or just unknowingness kind of thing. So I think the Dolphins are the most consistent team out of the teams left. So I'm going to roll with them at the 5.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think you're gonna like this next pick from me. We're gonna pivot a little bit. I'm gonna have the Cincinnati Bengals at 5. I'm gonna have a little
Yeah.
bit bounce back season for them. because Joe Cool is going to be back. He's healthy. Um, you know, I hate to say like the pressure's on, right? I know we were talking a little bit about this before the episode started, but like there's like the Jamar Chase issue, and then there was the
Yeah.
Higgins thing. Like
Yeah.
there's
As an
definitely some
outsider,
like
Braden, as an outsider, how do you feel about the Jamar Chase situation?
you said, man, like he's still got what 2 years. It's kind of like you almost wish he would just shut up and play,
Right. That's
right?
how
I
I
hope
feel.
I know
Yeah.
that's horrible to say, but it's like it's not like it's a contract year for him. That's the thing that kind of
Hmm.
bugs me about this. I
Yeah.
get it. Like he deserves to get paid, right? On the same level that someone like CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson's going to get paid. But like, I'm kind of like, dude, like
Just
just
play,
play,
dude. If you like the game,
just
it's 18
play.
games. You just play.
And exactly, exactly. And honestly, he was good those first 2 years, like you said, and then he was kind of injured last year. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
I don't
I
know.
think that he's going to play. I think they're going to be good. I
Yeah.
really don't think that they're going to be
I will
too far
be.
off the Ravens.
Yeah. I'll be shocked if he doesn't play week one. I think he's
Yeah,
good. At the
I
end of the
agree.
day, he's gonna end up. I don't know if he'll start. I
You
don't know
don't see
how
many
well it
guys
works with
holding out.
how. Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
see many guys
Especially
holding
two
out.
years left in his contract. I know Jamar Chase, one of the best receivers in the league, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like like you said, he has 2 years left. Not even just one, it's two. So
Yeah. And they will pay him.
yeah, they're
The
gonna
Bengals aren't like
that's why they
50-50 on if they're going to pay him. They're going to pay
yeah,
him.
they're tagged T. They tagged T so they could pay Jamar. They would have if it
Exactly.
wasn't for Jamar, they would have extended T, in my opinion. I think that's what they should have
Yeah.
done. I think that's what they
Yeah.
would have done. But I think they're more looking, keep Joe and Jamar together at the
Which
end
is
of the day.
fair.
So
Which is fair. So give me so you had the Dolphins as your first wild card team. Give me your second wild card team, Steve.
So my six is the Bengals. Brandon, you kind of had them at.
Okay.
I think you had them at five. We hit the nail on the head there too. Talking about the Bengals there, like you said, a lot of pressure on Joe. Matt matters. If he can stay healthy. Already went over the Jamar Chase holdout, the franchise
Yeah.
tag for T. Their defense, I hope they improve. I think their defense was kind of their Achilles heel
Achilles
last
heel.
year. They weren't
Yeah.
great. So I think hopefully I've been seeing a lot of stuff on like off-season practice that their defense looks a lot better than it did last year, but it doesn't really matter till they're playing different teams, right? So yeah, I just think hopefully their defense did make a little upgrade and they go from there. But
Yeah.
still a lot of pressure on Joe. He's gotta do what he's gotta do, and hopefully Jamar plays at the end of the day.
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't know if you're gonna have them, right? So my second wild card team, right, is going to be the New York Football Jets. You're going to have the Jets
Wow.
making the playoffs here.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit shocker. I think that their roster is really, really complete. I think they've got a top 3 defense in the NFL. And honestly, man, like I think what this comes down to is Rodgers coming off that Achilles. If Rodgers is good off that Achilles, I think this is a playoff team. And I also think that they could be a scary playoff team if he's good. Because quite frankly, like I said, I think this roster is like really, really good. And last year they were bouncing between what Zach Wilson and Mike White and Trevor Simeon, I think, and they won like
Yeah.
8 or 9 games, I think, something like that, maybe 7. But
They were in that kind of in the picture. They were in it a little bit, not in it, but
which
not
is
out of it. Yeah.
yeah, we're talking about 3 dudes like Zach Wilson's a backup, Trevor Simeon, who knows, right? And Mike White was just cut by the Dolphins, and now I think he's with the Bills, like as like their third string. So we're talking about 3 guys who aren't even like remotely close to being in a starting job, and they got to the 8. They won 8 games, right? So kind of to me, like I think if Rodgers is healthy, they're gonna win like at least 3 more games than that. And to me, 11 wins probably puts you in the playoffs. So I'm gonna put the Jets at 6.
Well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I had the Jets out last year, of my playoff bracket or like my playoff prediction. And that's before I knew Rodgers was going to go down.
Yeah.
But I think Rodgers does changing a lot. Like not even doesn't have to play at his elite level like he used to, right? Just has to be consistent, not turn the ball over, and get everyone involved like he kind of did in Green Bay. Not at doesn't have to be as elite, but still a solid quarterback. And yeah, maybe they could make a little run for the dance there. I like that pick.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So what is your last, like, who's your third wild card team? I'm very, very curious because you went Dolphins, Bengals. So there's a couple teams here that I'm like, okay, you could throw this name in here, but I'm not sure if you're going to do it.
Yeah. So my last team sneaking into the playoffs next or this season is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay. I'll
I
say right now
know.
I have the same team.
Yeah.
The same team.
Yeah. So we basically had 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7 all the same,
Yeah.
and then the
And we both had the
Bengals,
Bengals and we disagreed
both of
on
the
the AFC East
Bengals,
team.
and then okay. So I think it's very similar to last year. Like I think
Yeah.
it might
And
be
who was
like
your,
I think that might
let me
be
ask,
like yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, who's your first team out?
Colts.
Okay. My
You know,
first team out is the Dolphins.
yeah, I think Anthony Richardson is like, kind of the guy, but he has to show me more. Has to show me
Yeah.
more. I'm not saying he can't make the playoffs this year. The vision's a little low, maybe could be the Colts instead of the Jaguars, but I have more faith in a healthy Trevor Lawrence than I do in Anthony Richardson. And I think like a lot of these guys, I think Trevor Lawrence is gonna, he's gonna have a lot to prove this season. I think he's gonna go out and do it. So I have the Jaguars as my seven.
Yeah. And I'll add on to that. I agree with everything you said. And I think this is probably the best roster that since the Trevor Lawrence era like started. They did lose Calvin Ridley, but I think they got Gabe Davis and they got another guy who I'm blanking on his name as well. But we said it before we started recording. They were 8-2 before, and through their first 10 last year, they were 8-2. And then Trevor Lawrence got hurt like in mid-October ish, and it kind of fell apart for him. Like he had like 4 different injuries through the last 7 games, and I just don't think he was playing healthy. I think health matters here, right? Like I think if Trevor Lawrence is banged up, like I could see this team totally falling out and a team like the Dolphins jumping on it. I don't want people to think that I'm a Dolphins hater here. I just, and not to switch
I
gears too
mean,
much here, right? The
yeah,
Jets versus Dolphins
you've
thing.
never been high on the Dolphins.
It's not that I'm not high on the Dolphins, right? That here's the deal: is like I love their offense. I love Tyreek Hill. I love Jalen Waddle. I think I personally love Tua because he's a lefty and I'm a lefty, right? So that's like right in my wheelhouse. Problem me, Stiv, is like I don't trust their defense, and they're so injured all the time. I swear,
Yeah.
all the time I feel like the Dolphins are hurt on defense all the time. I probably trust the Dolphins more in the sense of like I know what I'm getting out of the Dolphins, right? I'm getting explosive offense and probably next to no defense played, right? The Jets, there's a lot more question marks, but I think they're a far more complete team,
That's
right?
fair.
That's
That's a
really
good
what it
take. It's a good
that's
take.
really what it comes down to it for me, right? I could totally see a world where both these teams finish like 9-8. You know what I mean? Or 8, something like that. Um, depending how
Yeah.
well the Jets are, depending how
Dolphins
good the Dolphins are.
the Dolphins defense is going to cost them games, and the Jets defense is going to win them games. That's the difference.
Exactly. So I think it can kind of be a coin flip. I really do think people are sleeping on the Buffalo Bills though. Um,
Yeah, I
I
mean you
get
can't
it.
get them
Like
out.
I get they lost a lot of people, man, but like you're keeping a lot of the core together, right? And I swear on everything I know, like in college or not college football, in National Football League, right? Like Josh Allen will figure this out, right? Like I get like he can throw a lot of picks and he can be a turnover machine, right? But like I said when we were talking about the Bills earlier, I really do think that like you're getting minimum 10 games out of Josh Allen last year. We were talking about them potentially missing the playoffs last year, and then he just turned it on,
Right.
right? And even in the playoffs, when they played Kansas City, he didn't play bad in that game. It was just the Chiefs happened. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
And the Chiefs defense was
yeah,
very good last year. They know how to win games.
yeah. And Buffalo is also a tremendously tough place to play, right? So like basically every single home game they play, I haven't looked at their schedule like to depth. Like they're gonna be probably favored in every single home game they play, especially once it hits November, December. I don't care who they're playing. You know what I mean? So that's my 7. And then again, like I said, I have the Dolphins as the first team out. Another honorable mention. Like I want to throw the Steelers in there. I think the question mark is just really their quarterback situation. I know they're going to start
Yeah.
Wilson, but I don't know.
Yeah. And never really a good situation when you don't really know who to start at quarterback week 1, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a
Yeah.
sometimes a good situation, but most of the time it's not. I think in this case it's not. So
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think we
I don't really know, but I feel like if Wilson is good, right? I think if he figures it out or feels like I don't really care who it is, right? I think that this team absolutely can be like a sneaky, like get to the divisional round team.
Yeah, for sure. The
Just
Steelers are always going to be there. They're always
I,
going to
I
be right there.
love
But
I love everything about this team except the quarterback situation. I hate it. I don't think that there's a more precarious quarterback like question mark in the NFL, right? Because like you got two dudes who like you could argue both ways of them being the starter. So I don't know. Um, I have the Pats being the worst team in the league at 2-15. You know,
right.
I just can't imagine they're going to be much
Yeah.
good. They don't have any dudes. They got
Yeah.
Drake May. They're probably going to put Drake May out there, and like it's going to
Yeah.
be a mess. So yeah,
Right.
those are my seven.
Yeah.
We're mostly on the
Myself.
same page, but
Yeah.
Dolphins Jets. I'm not surprised we disagree there, but it's not even too much of a disagreement.
Yeah. All right. That
Cool.
wraps up here on In the Yard. Those are AFC predictions. Thank you for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.